My recent reel on the dangers of canola oil was flagged for misinformation, but everything I said in there was supported by actual medical science. I stated that seed oils are harmful for humans, and the largest randomized controlled trial with increased consumption of seed oils ever done in humans, containing over 9,000 participants over 5 years, found increased seed oil consumption led to increased rates of death.
Well, the misinformation flag was indeed correct. Time school. As I've only got a minute and he cited multiple truly horrendous studies, let's dive into the strongest of his references, which was the Minnesota Coronary experiment. So it included 9,500 patients who were admitted into a hospital for mental illness, and the food was given to them as an inpatient, so it's very controlled. Well, that sounds great until you realise hospitalisation for mental illness has become less common and prolonged. And from recovered unpublished data, we now know that 75% of the participants were discharged from inpatient care within the first year of the study. And the average a patient stayed in the study was just 384 days. And a recent reanalysis of the study, which is ironically the paper he cited, analysed data from those who remained in the trial for at least 1 year, and found no significant differences in cardiovascular events or death between groups. Not only that, but back in the 70s, they were using hydrogenated corn oil margarine, which contained trans fats. And we now know they're the most strongly linked to heart disease, which is why they've been banned in food production. So if the rates of death between saturated fats and trans fats are similar, that makes an even worse case for consuming saturated fats. So if the rates of death between saturated fats and trans fats are similar, that makes...
Because the trans fatty acid contents of MCE study diets are not available, one could speculate that the lack of benefit in the intervention group was because of increased consumption of trans fat. Indeed, in addition to liquid corn oil, the intervention diet also contained a serum cholesterol-lowering soft corn oil polyunsaturated margarine, which likely contained some trans fat. The MCE principal investigator, Ivan France, and co-principal investigator, Ansel Keys, however, were well aware of the cholesterol-raising effects of trans fat prior to initiating the MCE. Moreover, France and Keys previously devised the diets used in the institutional arm of the National Diet Heart Feasibility Study, NDHS, which achieved the greatest reductions in serum cholesterol of all NDHS study sites. Hence, it is highly likely that this experienced MCE team selected products containing as little trans fat as possible to maximize the achieved degree of cholesterol lowering. Perhaps more importantly, it is clear from the MCE grant proposal that common margarines and shortenings, major sources of trans fat, were important components of the baseline hospital diets and the control diet, but not the intervention diet. Thus, confounding by dietary trans fat is an exceedingly unlikely explanation for the lack of benefit of the intervention diet.
So if the rates of death between saturated fats and trans fats are similar, that may